Following a recent surge of performance at Silverstone and Budapest, McLaren were nowhere near the top 5 at the Belgium Grand Prix. McLaren's mega upgrades that made the MCL60 a regular podium contender seems to have been made with a big compromise, a compromise which needs to be fixed immediately. Back-to-back podium finishes for Lando Norris ended with a 7th place finish at Spa, while his teammate's race ended prematurely after a crash between Carlos Sainz on the race start. But even if both McLarens were on track, with the pace Norris showed around the Belgian racetrack, both cars definitely would have fallen short of the recent high standards the team has been exhibiting. So, what is the freaky truth hiding behind McLaren's recent surge and slump in performance? Well, stick around to find out. Since the Austrian Grand Prix, we have seen a surprise team entering the fight for the best of the rest this season. And that surprise team is none other than McLaren. The Woking-based team had a presence at the front much more often recently when compared with the team's season-opening form. The car's performance has been transformed by a host of upgrades, which was introduced at Austria and was completed at the British Grand Prix. The upgrades improved the McLaren chassis so much that Lando Norris was able to achieve consecutive runners-up finished at both the British and Hungarian Grand Prix. How was McLaren able to make massive strides forwards, jumping big names like Ferrari and Mercedes? Welcome into how much better the MCL60 has become after the upgrades a bit later in this video. But first, let's talk about what those good performances at Austria Silverstone and Budapest has revealed to us, as we can now spot what sacrifice McLaren has made at hindsight to make its huge overhaul a step in the right direction. McLaren at the Belgian Grand Prix ran a higher downforce rear wing when compared with what its rivals were running, with Red Bull being a clear exception. McLaren ended up running a high downforce rear wing around Spa than what's ideal, which compromised the car's straight-line speed. While DRS and certain other conditions did negate this for some parts of the race, for the most and obvious parts, both McLaren drivers were one of the slowest cars on track. Simply, when we look at what McLaren has brought to the previous races, the team does not have a proper low downforce rear wing specification amongst its parts, which would suit the track characteristics of Spa. The reason for this would only be the massive upgrade package the team has been working on since the start of the current season. The team had to prioritize that overhaul, as the magnitude of the overhaul meant that it had to be broken into 3 stages, with massive parts arriving to 3 different races. The Woking-based team is said to be bringing more upgrades later this season, but those rumors are not confirmed yet from McLaren's side. Adding downforce and having a better platform to work on for the remainder of the current technical regulations was the aim at McLaren, with the first step within that mission arriving at Austria. The team introduced a brand new floor, new side pods, floor edges, and new front wing specifications. These are massive parts, both mechanically and aerodynamically influential. Therefore, the team had to divert all of its technical resources on that project, which did not allow the team to work on reducing drag and improving the car's aero efficiency. This meant that McLaren did not have the time to work on a new rear wing spec. McLaren team boss Andrea Stella admitted that the rear wing spec the team ran at Spa was not ideal at all the while Lando Norris was comfortable with his team's decision regarding the rear wing, as he mentioned that he won't mind a few low-key races like Spa while they target to achieve as many high points finishes over the course of the entire season. It was the correct thing to do because there's only 3 or 4 races that are as low downforce as this. Maybe we'll put a bit more focus on it now, but all our focus was on delivering the new car we had a few weeks ago, and that's clearly delivered us 2 podiums, Norris said. So, I'd much rather take that in a couple of bad weekends than just be below par the whole time. That being said, the Brit does hope now that his team can work on other parts of the car to gain more performance. And his team has heard his call, as the team has revealed to be now working on other aspects of the car. Team boss Andrea Stella admitted that the car which ran in Belgium is not the car they want to be running at Monza, with such levels of drag. This weekend confirmed that the areas that we haven't addressed yet give us a reality check that there's more work to do, and to some extent confirm that those areas need to be addressed quite urgently, said Stella. And this urgency comes from the fact that the second race after the shutdown is Monza, and you can't go racing the Monza like this. There's urgent work that needs to happen at McLaren to fix the situation. McLaren therefore immediately has to design a new low-drag, low-downforce rear wing, which should be available for the team right after the summer break to use at the upcoming Italian Grand Prix. And as we said before, running the rear wing the team used at Spa at Monza will lead to a disastrous race for the Woking-based squad. But at Spa, the team actually benefited from running the higher downforce rear wing at certain times. Oscar Piastri qualified second alongside championship leader Max Verstappen for the sprint shootout on the Serre and was able to finish second on a rain-affected sprint. The Australian even briefly led the sprint, pitting for intermediates ahead of Verstappen. But the Dutchman made quick work to gain the lead once more, as the high downforce rear wing made the McLaren car just slow on the straights. McLaren did have a lower downforce rear wing at their disposal, one used at Azerbaijan. but the team opted not to use it as the team felt that the trade-off for more straight-line speed was not worth the cornering performance the team had to sacrifice. But at the end, the team admitted the trade-off would have been worthy enough. Norris on his first 2 stints was a sitting duck, as the higher downforce just made the McLaren a very slow car on the first and third sectors. His frustration was evident on the team radio, but that did not seem to have affected his driving style. But the high downforce rear wing did come in handy, as some late rain and a perfectly timed stop for new soft tires meant that Norris was able to showcase much better pace on his final stint, grabbing a points finish from nowhere. "Everything came back towards us," Norris said. "I don't know how I ended up P7 honestly. A bit surprised. The team might still have to endure a difficult weekend at Monza, much worse than Spa, if McLaren cannot ready a low downforce rear wing in time. Even trimming the existing rear wing won't cut it, as the Monza track is just fast flowing. Extra downforce just translates to immense drag." But as Lando Norris said, if this is the price the team has to pay to have an all-round performer over the course of a season, that is necessary sacrifice. The fact is, prior to Austria, if McLaren had finished P2 on a sprint and P7 on the Grand Prix, it would have been a mega result for the team. But the last 3 races before Spa just puts the Belgian performance under a huge pump. This is a sign of how impressive the upgraded McLaren has been performing, and it still stands as evidence to prove that Spa is just a blip within the team's overall performance. That is why McLaren were not expecting a result similar to Silverstone and Hungary at Spa. Yet, the peaks of the MCL60 has been cemented by 3 good showings before the summer break, and the Belgium race weekend just cemented more proof onto how much improved the car's baseline is. The upgraded McLaren chassis is now able to cope much better on high track temperatures, and has better performance on traction zones, showcasing the improved tire performance of the car. But as both of its drivers have said before, the team has much more work to do, and that is why McLaren are still considering on upgrading its car this season. Some of those might come next year, but we have a lot more to see this season. Both McLaren drivers also have made it clear that the car is not good, it just now travels through the corners much faster than before. But overall there were flashes of weaknesses across the car and even Norris, which means this weekend contained some lessons for McLaren. Norris said tire degradation was pretty shocking, having been noticeably better in recent races, and Stella admitted the team got it wrong judging what level of drag it would get away with and with its choice in using the hard tire in the Grand Prix. So, clearly there are some more things for the team to do, and the rear wing will be a priority for the team. But what do you guys think? What are your expectations from McLaren for the rest of this season? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section down below. We'd love to discuss it with you. And on your way down, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of our future uploads to keep yourselves up to date about the 2023 Formula 1 season.